Hey guys, how's it going? Hope you're doing well. Welcome to this video and the second episode of the Trading Essentials series. Now I'm very excited to get into this episode for sure. It's going to be really good. So in this episode we're going to be diving into specifically backtesting GoTo Setups and pair behavior as a whole. But yeah, let's dive straight into pound dollar on the chart and we'll go over a few examples.
I know it's gonna hurt, but you're worth fighting for.
So guys, as you already probably know, there's not just one way to do something. The same goes with backtesting. I did the main video last week. Hopefully you enjoyed that, by the way, and gained some value. But like I said in that video, there's not just one way to do backtesting. That's the more generalized approach to backtesting for sure. But there's also specific things that you can go into detail with, especially when it comes to the more intermediate to advanced stuff in regards to asking yourself those quality questions. So for example, okay, how can I improve my entries? How can I be more precise with my entries? How can I manage trades more effectively? All these different questions we ask as we go on to our journeys a little bit in further detail. This is where this practice comes into play. So this is not so generalized, it's more so going onto a chart, like for example on this, pound dollar, and looking for something in order to gain data, take screenshots, put that in a portfolio for that specific setup, and then gain confidence with that over time. So that's what we're going to go into today. And I'm also going to showcase how I backtested GoTo Setups and pair behavior 2017, 18 and 19, and I'm going to show you the documentation behind that. So hopefully that provides value. Now in regards to this, what do we do? So if we just cast our eyes to, I have Notion opened here as well. So feel free to use any platform of your choice in regards to documenting screenshots. So I use Notion, I just find it really clean and really easy to use. But you can also use things like Evernote, Microsoft Word, arguably Notes. Like there's so many different platforms you can use. But this, because it's free, I've got the paid version because I've just run out of storage, but it is free until up a certain storage limit, and I just find it very, very clean and easy to use. Hence why I'm using it. So in regards to this, let's go over GoTo Setups first and foremost. So this is actually going onto a chart and specifically backtesting GoTo Setups with it in alignment with my plan. You know, the more generalized approach to backtesting, your focus is in different areas. It's more so just focusing on taking the trades. This is actually identifying setups and gaining a lot of confidence with those. So as you can see here, pound dollar sell for 15.1. So this is essentially a portfolio for each setup that I have in alignment with my plan. So as you can see here, we've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10 different setups within my plan to take. So what I've done is create a folder for each of these within Notion to then just take screenshots, add notes to it, and get precise with what I'm looking for in order to take each trade and just dissect them on an advanced level. So if we just look at ascending channel, this is just one folder, by the way. I've got tons of different ones, but I'm just going to focus on this for right now. So we can see that we have the before screenshot and then we have the after screenshot. Now I like to focus on two timeframes at once, so I always like to screenshot the higher time frame structure once I've took a screenshot of the lower time frames too, just to give me that, you know, side by side view, because so often people get caught up in the lower time frame structure, whereas it could be easy to kind of be in no man's land and just take average trades, where if you have the higher time frame structure present and you know exactly what you're looking for, then that's where the clarity begins. So as you can see here, before screenshot, after screenshot, as the trade played out, documenting the entries and just studying how different price plays out. And even looking at that, you know, something that I would often do is just print out these documents and just go through it each day, you know, as like a daily habit, just to go through, learn how these played out, see it within my mind. Because as you'll probably know, within backtesting, within trading, within any concept of life, you want to learn something, you have to study in detail with repetition. So let's say, for example, you want to read a book. If you read that book once, what's the odds of you remembering every single little detail within that book? Very, very minimal chance, right? Whereas if you go through that 3 times over, you start taking notes, you start highlighting different things, you go back and forth, and then you start to learn things on a deeper level, which then gets ingrained within your mind. So that's where this comes into play, this practice. So as you can see, screenshots here for that setup, then we've got another setup on pound dollar, another one on Euro CAD, pound CAD, and these are dating back to 2017. So like different examples for each, just to gain confidence. I could put literally one screenshot in here and then be like, cool, well, when that develops, I'll then take it, but it's not enough. If you then put 10 screenshots of the exact same setup in there, then it becomes a lot more sustainable, and you then see how that plays out over the course of a series of trades. Because remember, it's not the result of an individual trade which is important, it's more so how your edge plays out over the course of a series of trades. Hence why I've got documented different screenshots here. So that's the ascending channel, and then I've got just the same for every different one of my GoTo setups within my plan. So that's very, very key. You can then just build up a folder very, very easily over time. Yes, it takes work. Yes, it's going to take a lot of effort to go through and pick these setups out, but it's just the work. It's the work on the back end. I cannot tell you how much time I've spent into these GoTo setups and all the different backtesting things that I've done in the past, and even these in the past as well. Like, there's so many different concepts behind it, but to keep things simple, like, you just need to work hard. That's literally it. So with this in mind, let's go back to this. As you can see, we've just outlined one of these setups. All you need to basically do, this is just my stance on this as well. This is not set in stone or anything like that. Feel free to make up your own mind and implement anything that you want to implement. But this is how I did it. So that's the key with that. Let's go on to nextly, actually, backtesting pair behavior. So this is actually interesting, really, because this is going back to 2017. Look at the dates here. As you can see the dates here on the left, on the right hand side. This is going back from July 2017 to then December 2017. So back then, just to give you a bit of context, I had a goal to backtest every single pair on the currency list, which I did tick off. Was that necessary? Looking back, not so much. I could have mainly focused on the top like 10, 12 pairs that I regularly trade. But at that point, I was didn't really know any difference. I just wanted to backtest that, and it seemed like a good goal to set at the time. So I just set that in August, I think, and then just smashed through it. So definitely taught me a lot. But yeah, in regards to this, even if we just look at a few structures, right? So let's take a look. Aussie yen, this was very, very old. So you can see pair behavior once again, weekly chart, daily chart, just documenting different findings that I find within the markets. As you see, these screenshots are very, very messy, but the concept still remains the same, you see? So that really helped me, and something as simple as actually going onto a chart. This concept will get overlooked massively, but it's just the actual thing of going into a live market like this on the daily time frame or whatever time frame, right? And just actually looking at the pair. And I know that sounds silly, but when you actually just look at the pair and study how it's behaving and how it's moving, then you gain an insight into how it regularly moves. So that on the daily chart, you can see it's pretty corrective. You start to notice different things within price, and then you do that on the weekly chart, you do that on the 4-hour chart, you do that on the 1-hour chart. These little subtle things, you may notice like a little thing that gets implemented a lot on pound dollar, because it's just the nature of how that pair behaves. So it's just a very little thing that you can just implement. But yeah, that's kind of the main concepts of the video. I really wanted to point out a few different things there in regards to the portfolios. I think that's the most important thing. But it comes down to the concept of, repetition. The more and more you do something, the more practice you give something with attention to detail, with energy on that task, then it's going to give you so much clarity, especially when it comes to backtesting. So sometimes you have to go further than what people kind of realize. So for example, those little extra 1% things that you can do, that's what I feel helps me as well, especially when it comes to figuring out a process to capitalize on certain trades. So that really helped me.
So finishing off this video, I really hope you've enjoyed that and gained some value in some way, especially from seeing the examples that we did go through on the live markets, on the chart on pound dollar, and just to see how I did stuff in the past and kind of compare stuff and see how you can bring that into your backtesting routine going forward. So hopefully that helps and hopefully provided value. But yeah, stay tuned for the next episode. Really looking forward to getting to more of these series. So it's going to be really good. So have a great week. Speak to you all soon.
With